So you think our U.S. government just loves us and would never do anything to hurt us? Thank you for tuning in to Hard News TV 2. I'm your host, Terry Lynn, and this is the channel where truth is like archaeology, and every day we're digging for it. Today is April 1st, 2020, and this article is off the Wikipedia page, but I know for a fact that everything on here is real. I have done reports on the past of different secret, now declassified operations that the United States government and military perpetrated on American citizens, even in St. Louis, Missouri, spraying radioactive materials on poor people in the projects, and it came out in the news, and there were lawsuits because people were getting cancer. And so I've done a lot of videos on stuff like that, and purposely given black men syphilis to experiment on. Well, I just want to show y'all some of the unethical human experimentation that the United States government has perpetrated on its own people. So don't think just because we live in the United States and we've got this false sense of how wonderful our country is. We might have good friends, we might have good teachers, we might have good Bible studies, we might have good pastors, we might have a good life. But the powers that are at the top have always perpetrated atrocities against the American people. Okay, a bunch is declassified. Y'all all know about MK Ultra, but there's so much more on what has gone on. Now, I'm not going to take time to read all of this because there's so much. Okay, surgical experiments, pathogens, disease, and biological warfare agents. Just for the heck of it, let's click on this one. In 1908, 3 Philadelphia researchers infected dozens of children with tuberculin at the St. Vincent House Orphanage in Philadelphia, causing permanent blindness in some of the children and painful lesions and inflammation of the eyes. Y'all, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm sorry. So they purposely infected orphaned children who didn't have parents to protect them and caused permanent eye loss. In 1909, they deliberately infected 2 children in the orphanage, a virus that caused wart-like growths. In 1911, they injected 146 hospital patients, some of who were children, with syphilis extract. So they've been doing wicked stuff for a while under the guise of medicine and covertly. Look, the Rockefeller Institute, the Tuskegee syphilis experiment was a clinical study conducted between 1932 and 1972. For 40 years, the United States was purposely inflicting people with syphilis. In the experiment, 399 impoverished black males who had syphilis were offered treatment by the researchers, who did not tell the test subject that they had syphilis and did not give them treatment for the disease, but rather just studied them to chart the progress of the disease. In 1947, penicillin became available as treatment, but those running the study prevented study participants from receiving treatment elsewhere, lying to them about their true condition, lying to them so that they could observe the side effects of the syphilis on the human body. Okay? So people died from it. The 1940s, the University of Michigan infected patients at several Michigan mental hospitals with I'm having a hard time tonight. Y'all know the flu. Influenza, thank you. Virus by spraying the virus into their nasal passages. Okay, they purposely gave them the flu by spraying stuff up their nose. So, are y'all seeing a pattern yet? Oh, look, based at the Rockefeller Institute, one of the Illuminati. And how many times are we seeing his name come up on this? Okay, it says in 1941, this doctor inoculated a 12-month-old baby with herpes, who was, of course, offered up as a volunteer, gave a baby herpes. Then it says he submitted his research to the Journal of Experimental Medicine, which rejected the findings due to the ethically questionable research method used in the study. He called the experiment an abuse of power and infringement on the rights of an individual, and not excusable because the illness was followed had implications for science. The study was later published. Okay, a state penitentiary, inmates were given malaria. How horrible. In Guatemala, U.S. researchers used prostitutes to infect prison inmates and insane asylum patients and Guatemalan soldiers with syphilis and sexually transmitted disease. In the 1950s, in order to conduct simulation of biological warfare attack, ding, 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 did y'all just hear that? In 1950, in order to conduct a simulation of a biological warfare attack, the U.S. Navy sprayed large quantities of the bacteria considered harmless at the time over the city of San Francisco during a project called Operation Sea Spray. Numerous citizens contracted pneumonia-like illnesses. How did they give it to them? They sprayed it over the city. But when we talk about the poisons that are in chemtrails coming off airplanes, people tell us that we're crazy. And this was, what, 70 years ago they were doing this. Okay? 1950, they purposely gave female prisoners hepatitis. From the 50s to 72, mentally disabled children were intentionally infected with hepatitis. Then in 52, people were injected with live cancer cells. So do y'all see? Oh, look at this. San Francisco, 1979, the CIA conducted an open-air biological warfare experiment in 1955. Oh, and elsewhere in Florida with whooping cough bacteria. It is alleged that the experiment tripled the whooping cough infections in Florida, over 1,000 cases, and caused whooping cough deaths. Okay, and now they're trying to give estimations on how bad this coronavirus is going to be in 2 weeks. Okay, they purposely increased the whooping cough. They purposely increased it. The experiment tripled the whooping cough infections. During the 1950s, the U.S. conducted field tests using etymological weapons. Operation Big Itch in 1954 was designed to test mutations loaded with uninfected fleas. In the 1960s, they injected live cancer cells. In 1963 to 69, U.S. Army performed tests which involved spraying several U.S. ships with various biological and chemical warfare agents. This is the 1960s. We read they were doing it in the 50s. Okay? Researchers in the United States have performed thousands beep, 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 alert. Researchers in the United States have performed thousands of human radiation experiments to determine the effects of atomic radiation and radioactive contamination on the human body, generally on people who are poor, sick, or powerless. Most of these tests were performed, funded, and supervised by the U.S. military, Atomic Energy Commission, or other U.S. federal government agencies. Radioactive food to mentally disabled children. Can y'all believe? So I'm going to leave y'all this link. Y'all are going to be shocked when y'all read all this. But we see more chemical experimentations. So when we talk about them spraying things, we're called crazy. Psychological and torture experiments. Okay? So I just wanted to bring out this. There's MK Ultra. We know that that was revealed during the Frank Church hearings, I think in 1973, I think it was. It was 73 or 75, the church hearings. And it was revealed that the CIA was using mind control on people. And in that church hearing, it also came out, Operation Mockingbird, that the United States government was using national and local journalists of that time in the 70s to spread lies and propaganda and to control the minds of the people in the United States, not to be hostile to everything that was going on. So we're seeing the same tactics. Do you think that everybody all of a sudden just got wholesome and all these unethical experiments on citizens of the United States just all of a sudden went away because everybody found Jesus and they want to be all sweet to each other now? It's been going on for hundreds of years. And most recently, there's been biological weapon testing on people for the last 70 years. And the guy who wrote the Biological Warfare Act said the coronavirus is a biological weapon. Okay? So y'all leave me your comments below and let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.